Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're digging into some really fascinating material you sent over. We're looking at some unusual events way up in the Canadian Arctic.
And also that older incident too, right? Shag Harbor.
Exactly, Shag Harbor. And the thread connecting them seems to be, well, unidentified objects and these weird sounds, particularly these pinging.
Yeah, a pinging sound. So our mission basically is to unpack the details from these documents you shared
Mhm.
and, try to figure out what might be going on.
Okay, let's just jump right in then.
All right, well, the first thing is these events are pretty far apart geographically and time-wise.
Yeah, definitely.
But those connections, those echoes you mentioned, they are there. Starting up north in the Arctic,
Right.
we've got reports from residents, igloo-alike, and Nunavut, I think,
Hmm.
from some years back. They saw a streak of light.
And heard a bang, wasn't it? Followed by finding this hole in the ice like 10 meters across.
A big hole, yeah. And apparently it was steaming, bubbling even. Really strange.
Very strange. And then later on, different reports came in, right? From hunters.
That's right. Hunters like Paul Quassa in this really remote Arctic town. It was about 90 miles, give or take, northwest of where that first light was seen.
And they were hearing this noise.
Yeah, this persistent
A sound.
coming from the seabed in the Fury and Heckler Strait.
Described as a ping or sometimes a hum or a beep.
Exactly. And the source material suggests it was actually affecting the marine life, the mammals.
Mm. Which, if true, points to something pretty consistent down there, something making a real impact.
Definitely. And, well, it got the Canadian government's attention. They promised an investigation.
The documents mentioned they might have even sent a submarine.
Yeah, deployment was mentioned. But crucially, no results were ever released publicly.
Which always makes you wonder, doesn't it, when things go quiet after an official look?
It does. And, it's not the only time Canadian authorities have investigated something odd like this.
Which brings us to Shag Harbor, October 4th, 1967.
Yep. Way back then, around 11:20 at night. It's about, 100 kilometers from Oak Island, roughly?
Sure. Sounds about right.
At least 7 people saw something, including a guy named Laurie Wickens. They reported this low-flying object lit up, heading towards the harbor.
And there were sounds with that one, too. Not pinging, but different.
Yeah, like a whistling. Someone said it sounded like a bomb falling, then a whoosh.
And a loud bang. So Wickens did the logical thing, reported a possible plane crash.
Right, which brought out the RCMP. 10 officers showed up.
But here's the kicker.
The object was seen, actually floating out there for a bit, but before anyone could get to it.
It just sank. Gone.
And the next day, checks confirmed no planes were missing. Nothing. They searched, but found 0 identifiable wreckage.
So you have an object clearly seen crashing or landing in the water, sinking, and it's not an airplane.
Precisely.
So it's maybe not that surprising that, according to the material you sent, official Canadian government documents ended up classifying it as a UFO.
Right. An unidentified flying object. And this is where the source material starts, trying to link these two events.
Yeah, the speculation starts here, suggesting that maybe the Arctic pinging is coming from another downed UFO.
Kind of drawing a parallel, yeah. Saying, look, here's another instance where the Canadian military investigated something strange in the sky, or water in this case, that they couldn't explain. Shag Harbor being the precedent.
And then the source kind of goes a bit further out on a limb.
It does. Starts talking about unmanned interstellar craft,
Yeah.
maybe linking the pinging to other weird sounds like the hum.
And hinting maybe at extraterrestrial origins for some of this stuff.
Exactly. But we have to stress, that's the source's interpretation, their speculation. It's not, confirmed fact from any official investigation.
Absolutely crucial point. But even sticking to just the documented facts, we still have some really puzzling events.
We do. Unexplained sightings, weird sounds, official investigations that just trail off without public answers.
That lack of public conclusion is significant in itself, isn't it?
It really is. Because it leaves the door wide open. What could explain these things? Are they connected somehow?
Or are they just completely separate, weird occurrences? And what does it mean when governments investigate but don't share findings? That's silence. It fuels speculation, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So if we boil it down, what are the main takeaways here for you, the listener?
Well, for me, it highlights that there are definitely things happening, reported events, that push the boundaries of our normal understanding. They trigger investigations but remain unsolved.
Yeah, the Arctic pinging, potentially still ongoing for all we know, and the historical puzzle of Shag Harbor. They both suggest phenomena occurring that just don't fit neatly into our existing boxes.
Definitely leaves you thinking, could these incidents, decades and miles apart, actually point towards something bigger, something
Right.
interconnected, operating sort of behind the scenes in our world?
It's a compelling thought to leave things on.
It certainly is. Well, thanks for exploring this deep dive with us.